Okay. Picking up on the thoughts that you both just expressed, one of the purposes for this event today is for us to learn and to see what we could bring to New York from cultures around the world. Is there anything from your experience in your visit to New York and your understanding of some of the housing issues and what's been done here that you would like to bring to your own cultures from the experience of this city?
You know, I apologize. We are now, in my opinion, we are in a quest. North America is in a big quest. The quest is for the middle landscape. I think that Colin Rowe mentioned it in one of his books. We know how to do cities, and we know how to do suburbs. We did not leave. I believe that new urbanism was attempting to create this middle landscape. So we are in a search. So when I want to come to a place and learn how to do high density housing, how to introduce the vitality. Each street here in this city is an amazing street. You have a city that teaches in every block and every store. I love the cultural mix. I love the smell. I love the scenery. I like how culture and music.
Some of the smells.
Some of the smells. How the culture and the people are all integrated together. I even like, to a certain degree, the little rudeness. It's New York. But I like that. And I believe that New York, for me, is not a cartoon. New York is the real place. Every city should have this flavor that I would like to take with me and bring back to the neighborhoods that I'm designing. This trueness that you find in this city. And this is why I'm coming here all the time. I'm coming just to experience, to rub shoulders with these wonderful things that I don't have in my hometown and my neighborhoods. Sorry. For being rude.
Not sorry. I like also some smells. And I like your experience with integration. I say it as a European from German. And I have a very interesting experience together with people from HPD and Gerald Perrine, the Brownfield Exchange and the Bushwick Story, the workshop. 2 days in Bushwick Avenue together with the neighborhood, and we made a sketch, not a plan. And they made it. And I think this should be not happen in our situation in Leipzig. This is another kind of thinking to bring the people together and to make it together and to accept the persons and the people from the neighborhood and to integrate other cultures. And I think you have, as New York, because there's wonderful smells and other things, the chance to become the best heads all over the world, the young people. And this is a very, very important resource for the future. And I think you have to do, and you should do a lot of things for these heads. They came from all over the world, only to New York and with such good ideas and in such a mixture. This is not in Germany or not in Europe possible. Maybe in London, maybe in Paris, but not in other cities. This is New York.
That's interesting what you say about the immigration, the new cultures, because when I first started this morning and I was looking at the different designs from Japan or wherever it was, I said to myself, gee, that's not what I would want. But then I realized that New York City has so many new cultures that have come here in the last 20, 30 years, and that's our history is taking people from other places. So we have to start to rethink in New York what it is that we expect. That 1955 law about kitchens, for instance. Now we have very different families in New York City than we did, and very different cultures, not just because the Americans have changed, but because new people are Americans. So that's nice to hear. I do have a question. That very intensive planning exercise for Iris in Leipzig, is that typical of either European or German cities where you really do that intensive investigation into how to reinvigorate and how to redo your cities, or was that just because it's Leipzig?
Maybe we make it very good. but of course we have tradition in planning in Germany, of course, and in open planning, and we have an idea that a city has to play a role. And I like the idea that the city has to find their place in the world. And that's why the city need an idea, and they need, of course, all the people and all the partners, the industry and all the others. And the city need a way to find an idea about the future, not in general. It's easy to say a green and something like this, but to find the right places to do with the right persons in the right moment.
We've got time for one more question, if you had another.
Okay, my question has to do with the future. And in many ways, today's discussion has been revolving about changes in family structure that have been going on over the last 20 years. But since both of you come from an academic environment, and oftentimes the academics are the first ones to sort of pose questions, and you sort of showed it in your image of the research that led to the minivan. My question is, what should we be studying next? What is the next realm? What is the next river we need to cross? And what, if you were starting today, what would you like to be exploring with regard to housing and innovation?
If I am to go to the list of things that have or that we will have to tackle in the coming decade, it is a long list, some of which can launch us, in my view, into a completely new path of understanding architecture and buildings. Not that we did not touch them in the past, but the present and the emphasis given by politicians makes them ever so urgent. So we are taking issues that were touched upon in the past, and we are making them an urgent issue. We must solve global climate change. We must think about cities and building in as self-sustaining entities. We can no longer count on oil because we reach peak oil and we are declining now. We need to understand that cities or places are defined by cultural issues and by the demographic makeup. We are about to see the greatest change in North America, world demographics, where my generation, those with forehead that goes all the way to the back, will start to reach their are about to retire. What we will do with all these old people who live into their late 80s, in my research I find, are likely to reach their 90s. What will happen there to people who will live long? How we will treat old people in cities? It's a completely, what we will do with all this time and people who have so many skills. We are talking about eliminating or changing commute, the way we can no longer bring the car to the city, how we move around. And the list go on and on and on. And I believe that this is the time not to shy away. This is the time to have great ideas. This is the time to look into the future, because it's going to define who we are. Not to speak about the imbalance that we see now, where certain countries in the world going, and unfortunately, perhaps not on our continent, are going to define economic prosperity in the future. Will not be here, maybe. Which will require of us to be much more vigilant of how we spend our dollars, something that we did not do before. Last word.
Well, thank you. I have two topics. Form follows energy. It's a good idea. I think the form is also architecture, and I hope we will find nice and good architecture. And cities and sites follows energy too. And this is about density, structure, open space, and all these things. And I hope we will find also interesting, good solutions for it. It's the first, and we are in the beginning. And the second point is also aging in place. And I think that housing in the future has to do with aging in place, but also with the next generation. I want to speak for the next generation. And I think that the role of the woman is changed in the families, and that's why we are speak about housing in the future. That's why we have seen so much pictures from new situations in households. And this is my hope.
Thank you.